I'm here to talk about a very deep feeling that I've been sitting with for many years, and that is feeling like an outsider in this world. In other words, not fitting into society. And I wanted to talk about it in depth because it is so needed in a world that is full of fakeness, in a world where everyone tries to put on a mask, a persona that isn't them. And so I wanted to be that person who is real and authentic and raw in this video and really share with you how it's been for me feeling like this outcast, this misfit in this world. I guess I'll be a bit more specific as to what I mean when I say that I don't fit into society. I think from the minute we are born as human beings, people around us are preparing us to fit in with society, community, or the herd, whatever you want to call it, okay? And most of us follow the crowd or go along with the crowd because of that desire in us for security within a group. But some of us refuse to follow the crowd. And I'm one of those people who refuse to follow the crowd. And so I thought I would make this video to really share those experiences of how it's been to be an outsider every single day and how that feeling has manifested into very dark places in my life before and how it's blossomed into something incredible now. And I think the best way, I hope you guys can be a bit patient because this is quite raw, it's coming from my heart. So I might stutter, I might take a few pauses, but I've felt different, okay? I've always felt like different, whether that was in work, school, groups, classes in university, or even just walking down the street around people. I've always felt different. And I've met a lot of people in my life and I've found it very difficult to connect with people. I don't follow the trends. I don't do what everyone wants to do. I don't want what everyone wants to do. So it's been very difficult for me to connect with another human being. And I'll start by saying the first thing that has made me feel like an outsider, okay? And that is the conversations that people have in this world. So with everything that I've done in my life, whether that's work, school, just being in certain communities, I've noticed that many people, and this is such a common thing, that many people love to talk about other people in a negative way, or even just other people in a neutral way, kind of like gossiping. And I found that people actually seem to develop a friendship over speaking negatively about other people, and it's almost like an opportunity to attack someone. And I used to just sort of sit there and overhear these conversations because I was not willing to engage in it because first of all, it's wrong. And second of all, it's super boring talking about other people. Thirdly, I just felt like that was not a true connection if that is the way two people were going to connect, or two or more people, sorry. And so I would always be that person who would sit back and just kind of overhear or try to just think about something else as people were gossiping. And I can't tell you how many conversations I have come across that are of this nature, this kind of negative talk about other people. And so I've always not been able to connect. And secondly, the conversations have also been very superficial and about materialistic things. And things like, the next holiday people have planned, that people will be like, I've got this holiday coming up and I'm so excited and I've got this packed and that packed and I'm going to be doing this and that. And then they'll grab their phone and show everything that they've planned, or even things, conversations about the latest trends, or pulling out their phones to show the things on social media. Even talks about celebrities and very, very superficial things. And I would always sit there wanting to have a completely different kind of conversation, the complete opposite. I want to talk about like dinosaurs, how dinosaurs were once on our planet, and how that's just fascinating that they were there once, like on this planet. And I feel like I want to have those kind of conversations, or talk about the intricate details of creation and how beautiful creation is itself. And humans have created amazing things, but I'm talking about just the things out there in existence that were already there, if that makes sense. Like, there is so much beauty. Like, I want to talk about how it feels to sit under the stars, a sky full of stars, and you see that random shooting star and it feels like magic. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about these meaningful things out there. But unfortunately, I always have come across people talking about the most meaningless things. And I don't know if I've just been unlucky, or if this is just a common thing out there in the world where people just talk about these kind of superficial things. But all I can say, it's one of those things that's contributed to making me feel like that outsider, that outcast. But I guess on a side note, maybe people, when they are in groups, maybe they do want to talk about these things, but they feel afraid to, because they're trying to just go with the norm. So it's hard to tell, but I guess I'm just sharing my experience. And thirdly, when it comes to conversations, when I have found myself talking with someone, it feels like a lot of the times they're talking at me and not with me, meaning they will keep on talking and talking and talking about something, and they don't ask me questions. I almost feel like a therapist sitting there and just saying, yes, I get you. Oh, okay, wow, oh, that's amazing. And it's sort of like this, just a responsive thing happening. It's like a one-way conversation, and that makes me feel like an outsider too, because I kind of sit there, like, I'm obviously respecting them and listening with my whole heart, but there's a part of me that feels like that outsider again. So this is just one section that I wanted to talk about, which is the conversations out there that I've come across. And this is from years and years of, talking with people, all sorts of people. So it's not just like one specific place, like high school and my experience in high school. Like, this is pretty much a universal thing that I've noticed. The next thing I wanted to share is that as I was growing up and not feeling like I could fit in anywhere, I would always think that there was something wrong with me. I would keep on asking myself, what is it that I'm doing that's wrong? Or what is it about me that's wrong? Is it my physical appearance? Is it my face? Or is it my personality? Maybe I'm not funny enough. Maybe I'm not loud enough. Or maybe there's just something off that I can't see. So I even remember as a 13-year-old going up to people at school and just sort of kind of privately asking them, oh, is there like anything wrong with me? Do you think I'm like weird? And most people, all people would say, no, there's nothing wrong. But I don't think they would be, that mean to say that there was right in front of me. So I guess, it just shows that I really, truly did feel like there was genuinely something wrong with me. And like, I was trying so hard to figure out what that was. And I guess as I was going through that, obviously, instead of learning about myself, I was trying to kind of figure out how to make myself more appealing or more interesting in society. So I remember just trying all sorts of hobbies to kind of be a bit more like, kind of to identify with something so that people would associate me with like a cool thing or a unique thing. For example, I remember doing ballet at 14 years old because I thought I would come across as this sort of elegant, lovely girl who does ballet. But that lasted for like a few weeks. And then I tried to do singing. I thought I could impress people by like being this amazing singer, but I couldn't sing. But I did used to go to classes. I actually really invested my time into trying to learn how to sing. And I tried to, dress a certain way. I'm going to be quite raw, but I would try to dress really hot, like wear really tight clothing where people could see my figure. Weirdly, I only attracted the wrong people through that. But that lasted quite a long time where I thought I had to dress in a very sexy, hot way. And obviously that was not me. But I felt like I had to do that to fit into society, to be liked. And I mean, I would try to learn the latest things that were happening, like the most popular things, whether that was popular songs that I didn't even like. I would try to memorize the lyrics, really know the tunes, and, just in case someone brought it up, I would like be able to talk about it, or even like, just go to the extent of even maybe singing it to try and see if that would make someone like me. And I've done all sorts of things to try and impress people, and I think it really exhausted me out as I reached my adult years, and as soon as I reached 19, I was done with that kind of experimenting and trying different things and trying to identify myself with something. But I thought I would mention that because I know many, many people have done that, where they try to be somebody else. And I think that was the biggest thing that kind of was the one thing that was going to lead to a place of darkness inside of me, and it did. And I'll quickly mention how when you try to be someone else, it really does manifest inside of you in dark ways. And I think obviously I had things like depression because I couldn't fit in, anxiety, and I even 5 years ago I put up social anxiety. That was a manifestation of this kind of not fitting in thing. I did self-harm. I think I felt like I wanted to end my life at one point when it was really bad. And it gets very, very complex with time. Like I started to experience things like misanthropy. If people don't know what that is, it's when you have a hatred for human beings, and it sounds really dark and evil, but it's kind of understandable when you look at the roots of why one would feel like that. But yeah, all I'm saying is things manifest when you go against who you are. And until you return to go back to you and kind of start being yourself, it's only gonna manifest. But I'm just going to move on to the next lot of things that made me feel like an outsider. And this is a very, very deep part. As we see the world become more modern, more tech-based, and just completely different to how life was, a few decades ago, okay? And the modern life has an impact on people. People have changed. Okay, and I don't know if everyone can see this, but it takes a bit of awareness to see that there's a lot of consumerism going on, meaning people are very consumed in certain things that are very, very unhealthy for them. For example, we got the smartphones, social media, even junk food and porn and, very, very, the things that are very, very pleasure kind of seeking things going on. It's all about instant gratification, and I'm sort of here like all about delayed gratification, but the world seems to be all about instant gratification and quick. It's all about convenience. And I felt like a dead flower in that environment, in this way things are going. The best way to put it is I feel like a dead flower, and and I've not been able to thrive, and it is one of the biggest reasons why I chose to finally pull away from society and go towards or walk a different path. Okay. And when I started walking a different path, that is when I started blossoming like a flower. I blossomed and understood who I was, and I fell in love with life, and I became excited about life. All the darkness that I experienced in my life once upon a time, everything changed. Like I kind of don't care about society anymore. And there's a freedom in that. You don't think about society's expectations or ideas or the pressures that society tends to put on all of us, and make us feel like we have to be someone else or have to do something. And I feel like I'm free from that. And at the end of the day, I can say that there's no hole in me, like an emptiness or a void. I feel content at the end of the day. No matter what happens during the day, I feel content because I come back home, and that home is me. I think everyone thinks home is like a place. But I, over time, realized home is me, and that authentic me. And to return home every single day, or at least, actually, weirdly, I feel like I'm at home all the time because I'm myself. I know I'm not articulating this the best, but I'm sure you guys get what I mean by being your authentic self is actually what home is. And just to add to this, I know this is really deep, but stay with me. To get you guys to really get this kind of outsider feeling is to explain this one last thing, which is the fact that I feel like I'm beyond the material world. Like, not that I'm perfect, but I feel like I've stepped away from the material world. And what I mean by the material world is kind of like that world that's full of desires and lust and, egoistic behaviors, competition, hierarchy, like who can get to the top of the hierarchy, and, like I said, like the pleasure-seeking kind of life. And to give you examples, like when I worked in the corporate world, right, I felt like I was surrounded by that kind of world of that material kind of world that people are living in, that they don't have awareness of, that they're actually in it, living it, in it. Meaning a lot of the things I saw in corporate were quite nasty. Like people would step over each other, it just so that they can get to the top. Lots of fakeness, people just pretending to be nice, absolutely no sort of genuine people. And I felt awful when I worked at corporate, and that feeling of being an outsider was the most heaviest. Like at times of working at corporate and school even, there were the two main environments that really made me feel like an outsider. And so I'm just trying to explain why, because a lot of people are sort of trapped in that material world and really just act on urges within them. They don't think outside of that. And so I naturally felt like I could see the material world for what it was, and always felt like I wasn't somebody who was in it, I wasn't acting on lust, or I would always, or, acting on desires and trying to, just all about my ego. I would always try to consider people. I have a huge amount of empathy. So most of my actions were based off of empathy and considering people, which I felt very much lacked in a lot of the society. And so I think what I'm trying to say is the last 5 years, I entangled myself from society, which ultimately meant that I walked a different path and enjoyed solitude. And I think many people struggle with being on their own, but when you kind of walk away from society, you end up enjoying solitude and being on your own, learning about yourself. And that's what happened with me. Hence why I've grown so much as a human being, because I walked away from society and walked my own path. And I kind of watch humanity from a distance, if that makes sense. But I'm still part of society, but not in the way that people think. It's more like I will participate if I'm able to help people out or care for people. If human beings need me, I will help them, always be there for them. But I watch humanity from a distance. Then I, spend a heck of a lot of time on my own, working on myself and, doing the things that I love. And, I don't have friends. I have a few kind of acquaintances, but I feel like the animals are my friends, and even plants are kind of my friends, and my kids are my friends, and I'm content with that. And so this is how I kind of live my life. And I think living in complete solitude, it sounds quite appealing to me, but I know that it's not going to lead me to the best spiritual place, because I feel like you still need to be able to be be around people. And as a human being, I think we all should be helping each other. We shouldn't really escape on our own or live on our own. I think there's still some sort of micro damages in our brain if we do live in solitude, even though it's great, it's amazing, and I admire people who live in solitude, but I think we still need to step into society and give to people. So that's why I haven't fully removed myself, because I feel like I'll never blossom into a full flower if I remove myself from society and community, if that makes any sense. But so you guys, I hope that everything I said kind of makes sense. I know I'm not the best if I'm kind of on the spot talking rawly. I kind of struggle to come up with the correct terms or words, but I know many of you will understand what I'm saying here. And I hope that you all know that being an outsider and outcast and not fitting into society is actually a great thing. If you actually think about it, it's kind of like this sign almost to go and be authentic, because that authentic you can really do some great things. And that being different is actually a beautiful thing and is so needed in this kind of world we live in today. I think we need some authenticity and people being themselves. And I think there's so much beauty in people being themselves to learn the different ways of people, the different things people do and can create and even think, it's incredible. So I really hope you guys liked the video, and I hope you know that you're not the only one. And I can't emphasize that enough. I used to think that I was the only one who felt this. It felt like such a, just me feeling it. But I over time, I realized that there are other people who experience it. And yeah, I love you all so much. And I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. And yeah, I'm sending you a big hug. And I say that in all my comments because if I was physically there, I think I would hug everyone, but I'm not. So I guess I just say I'm giving you a hug. And yeah, bye guys. Bye.